All right, I think we're going to get started. Oh, that is loud. There it is. Good thing we got a sound guy back there. He can take care of that for us. Thanks, Zach. We're going to go ahead and get started. We have about, I think, a little over half of you here. We do have a few gone at the high school mission trip that is they're in Montana right now. They're with Matt Kessie. I had a video from him to be able to share with you. Unfortunately, the file was too large to get to send to us, so he has posted it on Band, which I'm going to explain what that is and where you can go to be able to watch that. So he's sorry he wasn't able to be here with us today, but they'll be getting back late tonight. They've been in Montana for I think just over a week now with a church up there doing a lot of mission work, and it's been going awesome, so that's exciting. But I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm Amber. I'm who you've been getting lots of emails from. I apologize. You're going to get lots more from me, but hopefully it helps with communication and everything, either email or text. I'm going to open up in prayer, though, first, and then we'll move forward, and I'm going to go over all the kind of admin stuff, so if you would join me in prayer. Lord, I just thank you so much for this time that we can get together. I thank you for all the hearts here in this room that are coming together to serve you and to just minister to children and our community here. It's a great opportunity that we have to be able to do this. And I just pray that your hand would be upon our Upwards League, that you would just help us as we move forward with it. And that you would just be with us today as we're going through the training. Please be with Cliff as he's helping just go through all the different aspects of being a coach, the different aspects of flag football, and just working through that. And again, we just thank you for this opportunity to be here. And we just love you and we praise you. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you. So we were also going to have cheer here today, if you were wondering, because it was supposed to be cheer and football training, but again, another thing came up for my trainers for cheer. Unfortunately, they had a family member die and a funeral today and different things, so we moved that to next week, and so that's why it's even smaller today right now, but it's going to be going great for us today. We'll get through it all. I'm just going to go through kind of the admin stuff for you, kind of logistics of some things, and then we have Cliff here, who is awesome. He's going to come up and do the coach aspect portion and teach you all about football because I don't know anything. I work on the computer, I do all the teams, I do all those things. He's going to be the one that you're going to talk to about the actual game portion of it. So first off, I just want to thank you all for being here. As I prayed there, just your hearts for service. We would not have a program without all of you here and your hearts to want to serve those kids and serve Jesus. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for being here. And then Matt also talks about kind of that mission of what our program is in that video on Band. But basically just really, our mission is to go out and serve the community by sharing Christ through sports, okay? And so that's what we're doing, and just keeping our focus on what that mission is as we move forward. So when it comes to the admin side, a big part of it is communication. And so looking for, I'm going to set this down here, communication-wise, today I had you sign in. I needed your shirt size, which I'm pretty sure everyone wrote down there. And then anyone who's watching this video that wasn't able to make it, I will be texting you to get that shirt size because I'll be putting in our league order on Monday. And I got to have everyone's size for that. What the shirt is this year, if you coach soccer for me, it was a polo short sleeve. For football, it's a long sleeve like t-shirt material. So it's gray and just has the upward slogan on the front. So the other thing that was back there is I gave you your coach roster, basically, and your game schedule. So I have those printed for those that weren't here. I'll get those to you, but you also can access that online. All of you should have gotten a link, and I think about half of you have signed into it. I sent you a link to the Upwards program. So if you coach soccer for me, there was an app that you could use. Now they got rid of the app, and now it's just through myupward.org. And once you click on that link that I sent you, it will take you to where you need to go. You'll create an account and be able to go in there. And when you get in there, you should then see your a spot that'll say team, a spot that'll say coaching, devotionals, all the different things, and you can have all your information in there. So your coach book that you got that's printed, that's really nice to have, that is also online. So you'll be able to look at that. So if you get to practice and you're like, oh no, I forgot my devotional book, it'll be on your phone there for you, okay? And then all of your team is on there as well. I kind of jumped ahead talking about that. Let me go back and make sure I didn't miss anything here. Oh, the ref schedule is also back there. So I sent out an email. Hopefully you all received that. How we managed to, with coaches and reffing and different things, what we tried to do this season was to have basically our different age groups together. So kindergarten and first grade, you're just going to be reffing your own team. You're going to be coaching and reffing just like we did in soccer. Those younger ages, you're just kind of out there. You're helping kids learn the game, okay? Then when we come up to the second and third graders, so we have 4 teams in each age group. And so on the second and third graders, when one team is playing, the other team is reffing. So 2 teams will be playing, and one of the teams that would have your game at 10:15 will be reffing the 9 o'clock game, and then one of the teams that had a 9 o'clock game will ref the 10:15 game. Okay, so it's kind of how I evened it out there. It makes it to where you're only reffing 3 times out of the 6 games. And then some of you that have 3 coaches on your team, I have a head coach and 2 assistant coaches, which is going to be great so that you can run different drills and really invest in the kids. I really love having as much help as I can. And so if you have 3 coaches, we do only need 2 refs per game. We would love 3 if all of you want to stay, because the other thing about the reffing is it's a way for you to learn more about coaching too, and more about the game. And that Cliff will talk about that a little bit, and Matt talks about it some. And it's just how we wanted to incorporate a little bit more into the season. And so, but if you only if only 2 people can ref, that is fine. You can work it out together with the 3 people, because then you're only reffing twice through the season instead of 3 times if you have those 3 people to rotate through, if that makes sense. Now, I will let you work that out through the team. You just need to let me know if there's not going to be 2 people that can ref so that I can find a sub. And so I have that schedule back there. I sent it online, and we do have a few other refs that are willing to fill in. You just have to communicate that with me, okay? Any questions on the reffing and how that's going to work in the schedule? Nope? Okay. Communicating with me is best through email. So you guys all should have my email from the amount of emails that I've been sending to you. So feel free to email me. I try to answer those questions as quick as I can, or I usually check it at least once a day in the evening so that I can get back to you, or I'll get back to you the next day. I don't have set office hours here or anything. It kind of comes with me, so just that's why email's the best way there. Communicating with your team, that is going to be through that Upwards link that I sent. Once you get in there, you'll have your team roster in there, and you can send out mass text through it. You can send out mass emails through it, and all that information there. When you first contact them, though, I do ask that you do try, those head coaches, we'll kind of talk about that, you do make a personal phone call for those first contacts. That first time you're contacting your players, your assistant coaches, if you're not getting to meet up here, you really want to make it very personal. Just call, talk to them. Cliff talks about this some too, like ask about their child, let them know when your practice time is, let them know kind of that you're excited for the season, what's going to happen in it, and things like that, okay? When you need a sub for coaching, the best thing is again, when we have 3 coaches, it works really well, because you can talk to your assistant coaches, right? And they can be your coach if the head coach has to be gone, or if any of the assistants need to be gone. So I ask you, start with your coaches. Then you can check with your parents of the team, like send out an email, hey, we need some extra help this practice. Who's willing to step up and be able to help? Okay, see if parents can. If you're still running out of options and you're like, I just don't have enough people to help, get a hold of me and I will help find subs for you. Okay, and so we'll take care of that. If you do get a sub, especially head coaches, if you're getting a sub or not there, if you change anything for your practice, whether you have to cancel it or move it, well, moving it, you'd have to talk to me, because we'd have to rearrange schedule and stuff. But just let me know any changes you do, because I'll get texts or emails from parents asking me things, and if you haven't communicated to me, then I don't have that information either. So just make sure that you let me know about that. Is great. As far as the logistics of game day and how it's going to work. So out here in our fields, if you are on practice or game, field 1, that is the large field by the sanctuary, kind of here on the side. If you are on field 2, that is the field that's over by the backstop, the baseball backstop. Okay, the baseball backstop field, field 2, is a smaller field. So K5 first, second, and third play on a smaller field. So that's going to be that back second field. And then the number 1 field will be a larger field. Now you'll see if you are a second, some of you will still practice on this larger field, even though you are a smaller team. And so it's very easy. We will have dimensions to be able to have you just make this field smaller for when you're doing practice there. And then same thing, if you are a kindergarten and first grade team, you do have some of your games on this larger field. We will transition that field to a smaller field when you have a game on it. So just know that we will bring it down smaller. So those are your fields. Equipment, as of right now, I'm pretty sure it will be in the green trailer just as it was in soccer, if some of you are soccer coaches for me. Eventually it will be in the new, a train car out there, or storage car out there, but it is still full of stuff for the school. So until the school can move their stuff out and we can move our stuff in, that's all still going to be there. So just know that it will be in the green trailer. And I will communicate that through email if that changes. And then setup and cleanup. So for setup and cleanup game day, Kylie Downer is going to be your game commissioner, basically. Some of you know her from soccer. Some of you will get to know her. I need to correct that. It's not Downer anymore. It's Barrington. Did I say that right? Yeah, she just got married, Barrington. So Kylie Barrington, woohoo! She will be there on Saturday. She was not able to be here today. She is up at the ranch serving up there. So, but she will need some help with setup and some help with cleanup. And so what will happen is if you're I'll send out emails and kind of schedule people asking for help if you can just show up a little bit early before your 9 o'clock game. And then those of you who have the 11:30 game, just helping clean up those fields afterwards with her as well. So just working together as a team there. And then structure of the game. So out here in the field, you've got the big field, you got our little kind of pergola there that's out there, and then the front of the sanctuary. In this grass courtyard area, I will be lining up teams similar to how we did soccer. I'll have signs out there, so you'll line up your teams there. We did get a tunnel, so right past the pergola will be a big tunnel that kids will get to run through. And coaches, yeah, of course. Coaches better run through it. So it'll be set up there. I'll have the team set up. We'll have a speaker out there and everything. How it's most likely going to run, and I will communicate if this changes. I still need to talk to Jackie for cheer. But basically, I have attached cheer teams to different football teams, and they will move with you and cheer at different games. And they'll know that schedule of what it is. And so every game will at least have one cheer team, if not 2 cheer teams, cheering on the sidelines. And so I will place the cheerleaders under the pergola, cheering for whatever team is running through. And then, so that team will run through, and then we'll announce that team of cheerleaders to run through. So the cheerleaders will line up with the football teams. They will cheer as you run through, and then they will get their names called to run through, and we'll run it that way. And so I'll have kind of a schedule set out and a list of how that will work so you guys will know as it comes through. But that's how the beginning of the games will start, is you'll start lined up over here. So if you have the 9 o'clock game, your team needs to be lined up if you're playing on field 1 or field 2, lined up there by 9 o'clock. We'll start the announcements. You'll run through. You'll run to your field. And then refs and coaches bring all the teams together in the center of the field, and you start every game with prayer. Okay, it's very important that we start with prayer. And then you end at the end when all the kids get the snack. You want to gather your team, go over the game, and then end with a devotional. Now that devotional at the end of the game, a lot of the devotionals in your book are the ones that go through for practice. And so a great thing for game is to kind of review what that devotional was, see how the kids, if you have a Friday practice, it's a little hard to be like, how's it been going through the week? Like try to get it. But then your next devotional, the following Friday, you can almost do it opposite, where you give the devotional on Friday, you talk to them, and then the following game, you would ask about how last week's devotional was, sort of thing. Kind of just get that connection with the kids, right? Talk about those devotionals. If the Lord's placed a scripture on your heart through the week that you want to share with them, and just kind of really bring that in and talk with them at the end of the game and make that an important key part. Sizing for the teams, you have K-5 in first grade. You have 10 players on your teams, and you are playing 5v5. For football. Second through third, you're going to have anywhere from 8 to 9 players per team, and you are also playing 5v5. And then 4th through 6th grade, you guys have 11 players on each of your teams, and you're playing 7v7 is what that will look like. Team boxes are a little bit different this year. Upwards is they've gotten a new uniform distributor, so they're not doing the nice, beautiful boxes that you just hand to kids. So what it will be is a coach box, and you'll have your stickers in it and some of the information in there. You'll have mesh bags in there for kids, and then a big tube of all the shirts. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like when it comes. I'm going to try to still create team boxes to where you can still just pull out and give to kids, but it might be that they come all together and then you give the kids the jersey in one bag and they can put all their stuff in a bag. So that's kind of still a new thing for me. So as they show up at the beginning of September, I'll be able to look at that. As far as giving them out to the kids, that will be determined on shipping and when they get here to me, but you will definitely have it by the second practice to distribute the second practice, because then you'll have it for the first game. But if I have it before the first practice, I will get those to you guys distributed out so you can give them to your players as well, because the more time we have for if there was a sizing issue, the better. So I want to get them to you as quick as possible so you can get them to your kids. Correct. Yes. So they come to me, and then I just I'll see how it's all put together, and I will try my best to get them as organized as possible to you. And the best way might actually be just to hand you to the big bag of jerseys that have all your kids' names in them with the bags, and you let the kids do it, compared to trying to sort through all the teams and lose jerseys and things like that. That's my biggest concern. So I just want to make sure that I get them to you as best as possible. So that's a little change from soccer. Other things we have is important dates. So the important dates we have is the 23rd, so starting this Monday. Head coaches, this is when you're going to be contacting your team. It would be great for you to contact them as soon as possible, but I understand we all have lives and we all work and do different things, so if you have to contact some in the evenings on certain days. But I did tell parents that they would be contacted no later than the August 31st. Please don't make them wait that long. Please try to do it sometime next week in the week. To be able to contact them, just introduce yourself. Like I said, I already went over that. So just introduce yourself, get a hold of them. If you have to leave a message, that's fine. Just make sure you actually talk to someone. So if you leave a message one day, please try to call again the next day until you speak to someone. Because with soccer, I would have parents like, I haven't heard from a coach, and they either didn't get email or they didn't get a phone call. If by the end of the week you've tried a couple times, at least 2 times, to be able to contact someone by phone, you could send out like a mass email to your team and say, hey, if you haven't heard from me, I have physically contacted everyone, I've left messages, please let me know so we can get your number changed, and then let me know if by Friday you haven't heard from them, so that when I'll be out of town next week, but when I get back on Saturday, I'll go through all of those, because I'll most likely have emails from parents like, why haven't I heard from someone? And I'll at least know then you have contacted them, and we can go from there. Yeah. Right. 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 That's a great idea. I can definitely look at sending out, because I haven't contacted the parents in a while, just an email saying, reminder, you're going to hear from coaches this week. If you don't hear from them by Friday, by, I'll say the 31st, but please don't let them wait that long. Give me a call. That's a great idea too. Yeah, if you want to send out that one, just make sure, don't just send the text and then not call them. Make sure we call too, because some people will just send emails or texts like, hi, this is your coach, here's our practice, and then that's it. But we really want it to be that personal touch, okay, so that you do that. But yeah, I don't want to make all the calls. So yeah, but I was planning on sending out a parent email here soon, so I can definitely include that in there too. So yep, so start that contacting. Ministry Safe training is due September 4th, so if you had to turn in a background check to me, I'm going to explain this. So I asked for a background check from everyone. I didn't get it from everyone, because if you do serve here and you knew that you didn't need one, that was fine. If I still needed one, I contacted you. So if you did give one to me, and the only one I can think of, I think, is Joe. You gave me one, but you're still up to date, so I didn't need yours, so you won't get a Ministry Safe training come through to you. But anyone else who did give me one, you will get a Ministry Safe link sent to you. This is a training system that we use here at Calvary for anyone working with kids. You have to go through that video training, and then that is due by September 4th. If it's getting, I'll be checking a little bit before then if you haven't gone through it and send you a reminder email. Michelle Dronin, who does our Ministry Safe here, is only able to send a link once. If you get into it or you can't get into it or you see it or it's been too long or something and there's a problem, you actually have to contact Ministry Safe. She can't do it from her end. So just get on their website, give them a call, and then they can reset it for you, okay? So, yep, you didn't have to redo yours because you did yours through soccer. So next soccer, I think it's every year or two that it redoes it. So yeah, I'll be able to let you know. Any other questions on that? Check your spam folder. Sometimes it goes to spam. It'll be coming from michelleDcctc@gmail.com. And I sent that out in the email as well. So you have that information. September 13th, season starts. That's the first week of practice. September 25th is our first game. And our last game is October 30th. So it's every Saturday after that. October 2nd is Team Picture Day. I will be getting you that schedule of when your team needs to be here for pictures. I'll send that out via email to you guys, and then I will have printed copies for you when I give you when the photographer gets me like the picture forms. I will hope to have those to you probably the first game. You'll be able to get those from either Kylie or myself the first game so that you can give them out on that Saturday. So it'll be a week before, and then that way you'll have them for anyone who can't make that first game. You can give it out at practice the following week before the game, okay? And I always get the question, is there forms there to fill out, like if parents lose the paper form? And there is. So if they lost that form and they're like, oh no, what do I do? The photographer will have those forms there. It's just nice if they come with them filled out because it makes the process go a little faster and smoother. Okay? And then October 30th is our last game, and it's the last award. It'll be like our awards ceremony. I don't have the time yet on that. I'm still doing some planning, whether it will be that evening or it will be after the last game, that we kind of just bring everyone back here for a little celebration during the day. So I will get that information to you, but just keep that in mind that is the awards ceremony. The kids will be getting footballs, just like they got soccer balls, so coaches will be able to give out those footballs. Cheer will be getting a little like cheer backpack as their end of season reward. And then also just know that last game is going to be when the cheer teams are going to be performing their dance performances because they need the full 7 weeks to be able to practice. So at your halftime, there will be a performance at each of those half day times on your last game. So yeah, it'll be really cute and fun. So that's kind of all the admin stuff that I had for you. Does anyone have any questions for me on any of that I've kind of spewed out to you of all of the things? Yeah. So the app enabled us to use that as our schedule for players. Is it still going to be that way with just the website? Yes, so the website does have that, and thank you for bringing that up because I think I missed that little note in there. So since we did evaluations different this year as far as doing scrimmaging and really looking at the kids different, I didn't use Upward's algorithm basically to rank your players. And so when you get into the app and you see your team roster and they're ranked A, B, C, D, E, and Matt Kessie talks about this in his video, and I'm sure Cliff's going to address it too, but they are not ranked appropriately. You get to rank them as a coach. So you're going to have to go in there, be able to look at them the first and second practice, and then rank them before your first game so that you have them ranked for the appropriate use of the matrix. So, but it will do the matrix for you after you rank them in there. Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
So, my question was, for the matrix, are you doing, I don't know how many players on the field?
7v7. You are a 4 through 6, so you'll do 7v7.
So that matrix, is it 7 for the first quarter, and then it switches to the second quarter?
It will switch. So the game is actually, it's 49 minutes. It's 4 quarters, I think it's of 9 minutes, and then an 8-minute halftime or something like that. And so you'll switch on each of those quarters, and your matrix will do that. But you don't have 14 players on your team, you only have 11. So it will still rotate through appropriately.
And then is it offense and defense are staying on?
He gets to answer that question for you. Will you go over the matrix on there some? Do you some? Okay. So, because I don't know. I don't know anything about that. But that's a great question. So, any other questions for me? Yeah. hmm Yes, so I have already sent the link to everyone. So you should have an invitation that came. It went through the Upwards app. So I don't know who's signed into it. Does it come from Upwards or does it come from my email? It comes from Upwards. So look for an email from Upwards that will then be an invitation. Thank you for volunteering, helping, and then you'll click on that link. It will have you create a password with the email that it was sent to. Then do not reply to them at upwards.com. Thank you, Nash. Yep, do not reply to Upwards. Yep. And so you'll find that. If you don't find it in your system, send me an email and I'll resend the link. And sometimes after I send it the second time, you'll see it pop up. So then you'll know that I'm sending it through. And then you'll be able to sign in there and get all the information. Yeah. I have sent them out. Yep. I sent it out on Thursday. Yeah. Okay. Yep. So Thursday I sent them out. Check your spam folder too, because it might have ended up in spam, and go from there. Yeah. Okay. So double check. You checked on Thursday? I sent out at like midnight on Thursday. I work really late at night. I have young kids. That's when my hours usually are. My office hours are usually in the evening. So, yes, Nash. Nope, you will be able to do that. So on that app, well, I keep saying app, but it's just a link. You can make it an app on your homepage that will take you to the link. At the top, after you click on your team, there's a little thing in blue that says team page and a little asterisk next to it for sending it out. Every team has their own page to send out. Please don't do anything until Monday in case I need to make any changes to the rosters. I printed them and done some stuff, but this happened with soccer. I gave it out and then something was noticed, like a sibling wasn't together or I needed to move someone. And so I have until Monday to do that. So I will have everything done by Sunday and it will just be permanent at that point. If anything changes after that, I will personally make those calls to the families and take care of that. But you can send out that team page and then that's a link that we'll send to the parents they can click on. It will show all their practice days. It will show all their practice or game times. And it's like your own personal website basically for your team so that they can have it. And then since we have that, I think I'm going to try to stay electronic. If you have anyone ask for printed copies, I am more than happy to print like a page for you to give out the schedules. But I did that for soccer, and I would say half of them got given out and half of them didn't. So I would like to not have to print them. Does anyone have a preference, I guess? Does anyone think that a paper would be better than electronic? Nope. So we're going to stay electronic. You could print it at home too if you have it, yeah. For game schedules. I'm just saying I printed all of them for soccer and I would say only half of them got utilized compared to not, so I would like to try to not just save that cost if we don't. Yeah, for parents, because since they'll have the app. Yeah, yep, if you need anything. So, any other questions for me? All right, I am going to hand this over to Clifton and he is going to get going for you. Woo-hoo!
All right, I think we'll go ahead and start. Those of you that don't know me, I'm Cliff. I was going to give you a bunch of, who am I, but I'm just Cliff. So I'm here to help. I've been associated with football probably all my life, and I come from a whole bunch of coaches that coach in Louisiana, and so I love it. It's one of the most rewarding things in my life is coaching kids in football and seeing them succeed. So. All right, so let's get started. The goal of our flag football ministry, Ember covered some of it already, basically, is to share Christ with the community through sports. I mean, that is why we're doing it. I did have some notes, but I forgot to print out my notes, but it's okay. So, yeah. So why does coaching matter? So Billy Graham said a coach will impact more people in 1 year than an average person will in the entire lifetime. I mean, think about that. I mean, I know some of you who've played sports in high school, you remember those coaches. Some of us still have relationships with those coaches. So being a coach is important, and don't think otherwise. It's important. All right. Why do we need good coaches? Whoa. So when youth sports are only concerned with performance, the emphasis ignores other essential components that are key to child's development. A lot of kids who play sports do better in school. I mean, that's proven. All right, when they're active, their minds, you show them kind of a framework of what to do. You teach them the sport, and they excel in other places in their life. All right, many coaches teach the physical side of the sport. I've been around it. I've seen it. I've seen folks in Texas say, "Hey, there's not enough color on your helmet. You're not hitting hard enough." All right, that's part of it, but that's not why we're doing it. All right, so they ignore the mental, social, and spiritual events that help participants become a better person. The experience of sports ministry provides strides to address developing participants mentally, athletically, spiritually, and socially. The acronym is called MASS. So that was in my notes too. Oh, it's up there. All right. I'll click through this. So the slideshow is a bit cumbersome. Basically, we're working to develop the players mentally. All right, you're giving them confidence. You're showing them what to do. Their confidence grows. I'll give you an example. Last fall, I coached 3 teams here. You're always going to have kids that are going to doubt themselves. All right, they're going to be like, "I'm not good enough. I don't know what's going on." They get discouraged. I can tell you right now, all you can do is keep encouraging them to keep playing. Just find something in that kid, what they can do well, and say, "Hey, you're doing great. You're doing great. Keep going. Keep going. You're still learning the game." There's a lot of kids that are going to be out there that they don't know what to do. Okay, especially the younger ones. They're not going to know what to do. But we'll talk about that. On the younger ones, you got to focus on fundamentals. As coaches, we get caught up in all these fancy plays. The plays don't matter if they don't know where to line up. So we need to make sure that you're focused on fundamentals, how to line them up, and then once you get to that, lining up, pulling flags, then you can start doing the fancy plays. Even the groups last year, I mean, I had probably 3 that played flag football. 3, and we had 3 teams. So, I come in, and I'm assuming, hey, they're old enough. They know what they're doing. Let's go. Let's do these plays. Hey, I got an armband. You're this. You're green. You're red. Go and run. They're like, what? I don't know what to do. I don't know how to line up. So fundamentals, especially with the younger ones. It helps them with decision making. Helps them with cognitive self-regulation, self-regulated emotions, especially on the younger kids. It helps them with that. Gain focus. I'm going to try not to go through every slide. I am. I can. All right. So the A in mass is athletically. They say this top line it's a CDC stat, so you can take whatever you want from that. But they say in the CDC stat that 24% of youth 6 to 17, I think it's actually higher now, it's like 27, only do 60 minutes of physical activity each day. The benefits, those of you who have played sports probably know that, it helps them with their bones, heart, and definitely when we're out there, it's about fun. Well, for us, it's about fun in Christ. So teaching the game, but focus on fundamentals, which I just talked about before, strategy and winning. They'll benefit more if they know what they're doing, where to line up. They'll come along really quick, and you'll know that within the first week. The first week of practice, what's going to happen is you're gonna do all these skills training that you think they're going to need. The first game will start, and you'll be like, "Whoa, I need to teach this and this and this," and so that'll help you develop in your schedule, which we'll talk about here in a second. All right, Amber covers some of this, but spiritually, that's your chance to plant seeds. All right, that's why we're here. Plant seeds, share the gospel. Okay, coach-participant relationship, like we talked about, coaches are important. You have a greater influence than you realize. So make sure when you're out there. I had a conversation with my wife. She's like, "Well, what if you have coaches out there that are not shining their light?" I said, "Well, when we talk to them, that's what happens, right? I mean, we're out there to, where I come from is a whole different. I mean, you got coaches yelling, screaming, getting ugly. Okay, so we don't want that. But so you got to realize that coaches do have an influence, and especially if we're trying to share the word of Christ. You want to project that example. You don't want to be out there arguing or being ugly. So, but we'll talk about that too. Coach-parent relationship. Most parents who sign up their kids are worried about sportsmanship. They want to get their kids involved in something that's healthy, wholesome, have camaraderie, have more kids. So they also want to trust their coaches. Okay, so that's really important. You want to develop a conversation with them. You want to develop a relationship with them. Okay. Sorry about this. I don't have my thing doesn't want to work today. All right, socially. We just talked about it. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. I've read these slides over and over and over, trying to make sure I've covered everything. Children learn to interact with each other in positive ways. Goes back to just building that community. Participate, navigate up and down relationships between people. I mean, you're going to have conflict out there. One of the biggest things that I see when I'm out there, and even last fall, is kids tend to want to put each other down if they're not doing good. Or you may have a player out there that's not as athletic as some of the others. Okay. So you got to set rules up front as coaches. You got to sit there and say, hey, we're not tearing down each other. We're bringing each other up. We're helping people. We're helping your teammates. We're encouraging your teammates. We're not going to tear them down. So I mean, we're in a culture of tear down. All right. And so that's what they see outside of everything else, in the news, on their phones, wherever. So we want to make sure that we teach those kids to uplift their teammates and build those good relationships. Learn to be unselfish. That's a big deal. Like I said, you'll have kids that are more athletic than the others, and they want the ball. They always want the ball, and if they don't get the ball, they're gonna throw a fit or make a scene or whatever. So I mean, you're gonna have that. That's just part of how society is. People get selfish if they think their other teammates are bad, and I saw it last fall too here. So we just gotta coach them up. Just coach them up and let's say, hey, you're all a team. It's not one. There's 7 or 5 other people on the field or 11 people in the team. So yeah, and then understand why you're coaching. Amber talked about it. It's got a heart to serve. Okay. A lot of coaches have a heart to serve. They have a heart to help people or to help kids or help them be successful and develop them. So, but you need to know your limitations and your strengths as coaches. That's one big thing. I mean, everyone has to realize that hey, we're all not perfect people, but you got to play to your strengths. And if you need help and you need help coaching or you don't understand, just reach out to another coach. Reach out to me. And we're here to help, so we want to develop those kids. Be prepared. Definitely be prepared. One thing I wanted to harp on was schedules. I've coached a long time, and I can tell you, showing up on a Monday, and then with other coaches and going, "Hey, what do you want to work on today?" It's hard. So, coaches have to spend a little time outside. I know everyone works, and I understand that. But you have to not only feed yourself by God's word before you come to practice, and make sure that, if you're looking at devotionals, what you're going to teach or what you're going to talk about that practice, but you also need to prepare for practice. Kids kids do better when there's a structure. Okay. I found out when I come, if I go to practice on a Monday and I don't know when I'm going to teach, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. So usually what happens is the day before practice, I'll sit down the night before, and I'll figure out what we need to work on that week. Okay, like I said, the first week of practice, you're not really going to know. You're going to run through a bunch of skills, probably flag pulling, probably where to line up, all that good stuff. But the second week, you'll know. You'll know what you need to work on. You'll need, okay, I need to work on flag pulling. That didn't work so well in the first game. Or I need to work on alignment, stuff like that. So, but be prepared. Be prepared whether it's in the devotionals, what you're going to do that week, or what skills you're going to teach. Okay, and usually the breakout for practice, the practice format's usually you have like a meeting in the morning. You have to meeting in the morning, meeting first. Then you do a warm-up activity. Then you practice your skills and drills, and then you do your devotional, and then you practice for another 20 minutes, and then you have a kind of wrap-up meeting, and then you're done. And that's actually in your. I think that's in your coaching packet. Kind of talks about how you should structure it, but I can't emphasize enough to have a plan before you go to practice. It'll make everything go smoothly. It'll make practice a lot easier. So just have a plan. I'm a big plan guy when it comes to practice. All right, so you got to understand what you're coaching. You're coaching hands, head, and heart. You're teaching them some skills. You're conditioning them, some physical development. You also give them some confidence, letting them make their own decisions and mental strength. And courage, self-sense, sense of purpose. Like I said, you're going to have those kids out there that are going to need a little extra oomph, a little extra love. It always happens. I see it every year. So just keep talking to them and saying, listen, you're good. You're doing it. You're getting better. It just takes practice. A lot of kids think they're going to go out there and they're going to be like an NFL star from the get-go. Or they're going to be, the next big thing. So when they get out there and they're not, then they get frustrated and then they want to quit. So I'm sure maybe you'll have a few that say, I don't really feel like playing anymore. I mean, every year I have one or two. So you just need to give them extra love and keep talking to them. Keep boosting them. All right. So yeah, this is what I talked about: being prepared, ready for practice. I won't go over that again, but it's a lot easier when you have a plan than just showing up here at church and say, "Okay, we're ready to go. Let's do it." Teach the rules. We talked about fundamentals, especially on the younger kids. I mean, I think actually all ages, I would just teach fundamentals: where to line up, what to do before we get to the place, and teach the rules. One thing, and we'll talk about referees. The referees are there to enforce the rules. What happens is a lot of folks don't want to call a flag or don't want to tell them they're not lined up correctly. But that's part of the game, and we want to teach them the right way to do things. So if you're not helping them if you're not throwing the flag. You're not helping them if you tell them, hey, at least line up. Hey, there's three supposed to be on the line of scrimmage. Line up. So not only as refs and coaches, we're supposed to be out there teaching them the rules and make sure they're. I mean, for them, it becomes more of a more fun experience if they know the rules, where to line up, how to play. So for the younger ones, I would definitely just try to tell them, hey, you need to scoop on the line of scrimmage. I would say from like K to what is it? Amber, K to third? Yeah, so K to 3, I would probably try to help them. Because they're the ones that are going to have the most issues lining up, figuring out where they're at, figuring out what to do, all that stuff. So I would help them as refs. Kind of the older kids, I would say, I would throw a flag. And then I would explain it to them and say, hey, this is why I threw a flag. You can't do this, can't do that. But not only, you're not, whoever's reffing is not only there to throw a flag or point out that you're also there to help and explain and teach them. Because that helps them with their, just figuring out the game. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm more hesitant from K to 3 to throw a flag every time, but I would rather just help them. But you probably should. But I would, yeah. Yeah, first couple of weeks I probably would just teach them, and then towards the end I would probably start throwing flags and explaining, hey, this is your offsides, or hey, you can't shield, or any other penalties, which we can go over. All right. So teach sportsmanship with competitive spirit and growth mindset. Sportsmanship. I mean, it could be basic. It could be a basic thing, as in once you pull the flag, instead of throwing it down like that, is to hand it to the other person. I mean, I understand competitiveness, and I'm not saying anything about not being competitive, but there's certain things that, it's a sportsmanship. Everyone's you're just do the little stuff. Pick up a flag, help them off the ground. Just demonstrate respect for any of your teammates or any of the opponents and coaches and referees. The biggest thing for me is what I usually do, and I always have a thing that I say to the kids when we huddle, I need your eyes and ears open and mouths closed when any adult's talking. That's how I always operate, just because I say, I don't mind you guys talking, but when an adult's talking or the coach is trying to tell you something, and I explain it to them, I need you guys eyes open, ears alert, and then they can go back and talk. You're going to have all that. I'm trying to get all their attention at once is like herding cats. Okay, it's going to be hard, especially younger groups. When you start getting to the 4, 5, 6th grade, it's better. It's easier. But you just kind of set the tone right away that this is how we're going to operate. I respect you, you respect me, but when I'm talking or any adult's talking, you need to listen because we're here to teach you stuff. Okay, we're here to show you stuff. So when you go out there and you start playing and you don't know what you're doing, it's because you weren't listening. And you're going to have that. I mean, that's normal. That's normal stuff. I mean, we're going to run skill routes, and they're going to run like a flag, and they're going to be like, what do I do? I'm like, where you been? I just showed you. But they're talking. So, and I always use the tool of, okay, you guys love running, right? Because we can run. And they're like, well, no, coach, we're not running. I said, well, then I need you to listen. Less talking, and let's operate so we can at least play. I said, you guys want to have fun, right? But when you're not going to have fun when you don't know what you're doing. So, I mean, there's some, there's some kind of, you just got to get them early and explain, this is the boundary for our, this is how I operate, and then everything's usually grand. I mean, within the first 2 weeks, they know that if a coach is talking, they should be listening and not fiddling around. So, growth mindset. Now, this is a weird, there's a book out there by Carol Dweck, I think it is. She's a psychologist, and she talks about growth mindset versus fixed mindset. And the growth mindset is basically says that the kids develop better if they're doing various different things to get more knowledge, different avenues. And in a fixed mindset, they only do one way to figure out the problem. So, but the growth mindset is basically you're improving the kid, you're growing them basically by what we're doing out there. And you, like I talked about, coaches must live this example at all times. Okay. They look at you a lot. They'll look at you a lot, and they'll remember you. If you're they will, guaranteed. I mean, I see the kids I coached last fall, and they're like, "Hey, coach, how are you doing?" They remember you. You guys are important. So live the example out at all times. All right. Communication. Amber touched on this a little bit. Communication is crucial. Crucial. With everything. I mean, whether it's here at Calvary or anything else, you guys already know that communication is crucial. You got to let the parents know what's going on, whether it's an email or text. Speak to players on their level and make sure to demonstrate and teach drills. Okay? Like we talked about, a lot of the kids aren't going to know what a flag or a flag route is or a cross route or what to do. So you're going to have to get out there and say, this is what I want you to see, or I want to see from you guys. And you'll have to teach it and show it, especially with the smaller kids. You're definitely going to have to do it several times because they're going to be picking daisies over here or in the weeds or doing something. You're going to have to corral them into one line. Yeah. I mean, we played t-ball, and we're out playing, when my kids were little, and the second baseman was over there picking in the dirt. You're going to have that. That's just part of it. Their attention span's like 4 seconds. So encourage players, like we talked about. You're going to have those players that are, like I mentioned, you're going to have those players that are wanting to quit or don't like it or something's going on. You need to keep encouraging them and play to their strengths. All right, lead the practice devotion. It's important. So in your books, Amber talked about it briefly. You have the practice devotions, and I've reviewed it a few times. They're pretty good. They're actually really good. It's a great tool, and like she said, I mean, if you have something on your heart that you want to share with the kids that week, then by all means do so. So you can obviously share the devotion, lead the discussion, and pray. I mean, if you don't want to do that, definitely ask somebody to help. There's no shame in that. So there's also videos you can do in the actual book. I know there's. Let's see, there was. So there's a prayer box in there that tells you if you're covering, practice 2 and discussion questions that you would ask afterwards, and they're grade specific, and you can talk about the story. So these are great. And there's also videos that you could use. So you could actually use your phone and just click on a video and then talk about it or discuss it in the group huddle. So any questions so far? I didn't ask you guys if there was any questions because I'm too busy yapping. No? Good. All right. How to help participants have a great season. Just create a positive team environment. And I've kind of already talked about that too. Sorry if I'm getting ahead of myself, but you're setting the environment. You're setting the expectations of behavior from the first week of practice. Okay, so you want to set goals with the team and individual players. You always want to encourage your players. You're going to see a lot of that. When it comes to coaching, encourage players, set the behavior, set the example, especially here at Calvary. We're trying to share Christ with everybody. You definitely should be showing that. You should be example. And view mistakes as teaching opportunities. So one thing, and we'll go back to just a simple play. If you're running skills drills and you're doing kind of a pass pattern, and for instance, say, when you're supposed to run 10 yards and you're supposed to look for the ball, you have a kid who's turning around like this. It's okay. It's okay to correct them. Go out there and correct them. Just don't let it happen and let him go back in the back of the line because he's not getting any benefit from it, okay? It's okay to view his mistake as a teaching opportunity because everyone else in that line is also looking, okay? So if you're telling an individual or a child to go 10 yards and then cut in and then be looking at the quarterback for a ball, and they do it the opposite, make sure you go out there and correct that, okay? Don't let it just happen and let them go back because every mistake can be an opportunity. Okay, you want to teach them the right way. All right, game day attitude. All right, like I mentioned, I come from a whole different world where it's rowdy, it's ugly. It's parents yelling at parents, coaches fighting. It's not fun. I can tell you, as part of an executive board for a football league, the first 7 weeks, I kicked a parent out every Saturday because they were ugly. They were ugly. They were cussing. They were just being unpleasant. For 7 weeks in a row, every Saturday, I kicked at least one parent out and told them to go, or I had to call the police. So, game day attitude, simple stuff. Referee makes a call. We're not there to argue. I mean, you guys are going to be making the calls, your coaches, right? We're like, hey, that's not a good call. Well, we don't want to know that. We'll just go with it. Because I can tell you, not only do the players feed from what they see in you, the parents feed off of you. I see it all the time. If you got a coach out there yelling and screaming, all of a sudden the parents are moving up and they're starting to yell and scream. And they're starting to yell across, it can get ugly. So whether the ref calls it, whether you agree or not on the call, which I can guarantee there's going to be some calls you're going to be like, that's baloney. But we're not going to do that, okay? It's not happening. You just follow, the parents are going to follow your example. You're just going to go, you say, all right, mark it off, next play. That's one thing you got to teach kids too, is not focus on the play they just did. Just erase it from the memory and start working on the play they're going to do. What happens is the kids are like, oh man, I didn't catch that ball. Play's over. Play's over. Let's move on, okay? Just like a flag. It's over. Let's move on. So yeah, children respond to parents' positive reaction, creating respect for authority figure, which is the referee. So do not be critical of officials, which is all, you're going to be coaches, officials, like I said, and don't be confrontation with others. That should be a no-brainer at this point. But you never know. I mean, it happens. We're all human. All right, practice breakdown. I think in your book there's an explanation of how practice breakdown should be. I think we talked about it a little bit. Team meeting is like 3 to 5 minutes. You do about 3 to 5 minute warm-up activity. You practice skills and drills for about 20. You take a break, probably get some water, get back together. Do a 5 to 7 devotional time. You can talk about what you have scheduled for that week or whatever's in the book. Then after the devotion, you'll go back to skills and drills, or you can do like game-like scenarios or even a scrimmage. So if you have 2 teams of the same age group practice at the same time, maybe get them together and have a scrimmage. That'd be a pretty good idea. And then post-practice, just getting back together, kind of talk about the day, just review the skills that are learned, and then you can even tell them, if you're at home on the weekends, what we usually do is I usually say, hey, if you need to work on your catching, go out with your brother on the weekend and throw some passes or practice, so just give them stuff to do, get them a little better. And you'll know those, like I said, within the first week, you'll know the kids that need a little more help versus the ones that seem to be, catching on pretty quick. All right, your resources. Like I said, Amber talked about this a little bit. There's a web app. myupward.org has a download. You can download print resources on there. I believe that's the one that has the the coaches matrix for substitutions. Let's see. There's a form on there, I think. Is there a form on there? Okay. And then basically it'll align who goes in on the first quarter, who goes in on the second quarter, who goes in on the third and fourth quarters. So yeah, you'll put it together. Yeah, and that's based on your like Amber was talking about, it was based on your rankings. So when we did the evaluations this year, we didn't use all the upward stations to evaluate. Me and Matt decided that we were going to do a few others and a couple scrimmages, because a lot of what we were thinking is when you have kids scrimmage, you can kind of gain a lot of information on who's knows what they're doing versus who, kind of gauge. and then we ranked them basically on 3 stations. The passing one, or whatever we did, the passing, the scrimmage, and there's another one we did, I can't remember. We didn't do pulling flag, I don't think. We did a scrimmage, the 2 scrimmages and pulling flags. We kind of mixed all that together. But yeah. So that's what we did for that one, is we were trying to figure out, we didn't want a whole bunch of, we ranked them all 1 to 3. So 3 was the best. 1 obviously didn't know anything about football, and 2 was kind of middle of the road. So we did that. But what happens is in the app, you're going to have to go in order to use the matrix. You have to evaluate your kids on your own. So, and then what happens is you'll plug in the kids based on your evaluation, and then that'll produce the matrix for your substitutions. Okay. Right. You can. You can. You can. I mean, you could do it that way, but yeah, I would try to include all the kids in offense and defense rotations, so they get a little bit of both. Because what's going to happen is you're going to only have kids that are going to play defense and no offense, and they're going to be like, "Hey, I want to be a running back." Everyone wants to be a running back, by the way. I'm just telling you right now. Everyone wants to be a running back. No one wants to be a quarterback. No, you may have one person that wants to be a quarterback, but everyone. Right, right. It avoids the conflict of my kid, why is my kid not playing? So, right, right, right. Yeah, but you're going to have to, the first week, you have to go in and evaluate and put in the numbers so you'll get, good data to actually build it. But it should work. Right. Right. And I mean, yeah. And the reason for that is basically, you don't realize it. I mean, we think about, 4 and 6 is pretty close, but in terms of sports, it's not really close. They're really advanced. A lot of kids are advanced 1 year apart from each other when it comes to just sports knowledge and athleticism. Uh, so it makes a difference. It makes a difference. So just to keep the 6th graders matched up with another. And what I would do is probably, if you have a 6th grader, and they're a 6th grader, and the other team has a 6th grader, probably try to match them up. That way, 6th grader on a 6th grader versus a 4th on a 6th grader. But you never know. I mean, you may have a 4th grader that's a superstar, but that's, you'll have to determine that. Do we need to take a break? Give 5 minutes? No? Nobody? Okay. All right, coach's plan. Back to the coach's plan. Like we talked about, it makes it a lot easier for you if you have a plan. You can do it. You can complete it through the actual upwork.org, or you can do it, or you can sit down with your coaches to determine exactly what you're going to work on during that week and how long you're going to work on it. But the coach's plan, the practice plan there on Upward does have the pre-practice, the huddle topics, all suggestions on warm-up activities, skill focus, skills and drills, as well as the specific devotionals. But like I said, I'll harp on that. Whether it's here or anywhere else, definitely have a plan. It doesn't take a whole lot of your time to get a plan together to figure out what you're going to practice that week, and it helps you. And like I said, I understand everyone's got a whole bunch of stuff to do, but getting that plan squared away will help you out in the long run when you show up at practice. All right, ministry touch points. So at midpoint of any practice, we want you guys to lead a 5 to 7 minute practice devotion. All right, these devotions, as you know, are biblical lessons that can be applied to life. I think the first one talks about King Herod and the wise men. So that's the first one. Each week, players will receive a green practice sticker, and we'll talk about that here in a couple slides for their participation in the practice huddle, and it's just a star. Also, you can use practice cards and videos like we talked about. So the practice cards, you can hand out to the kids the practice cards to each player. These cards have the week's scripture verse and other important content, and then you can hand it at the beginning of the week, and then you can talk about it, like Amber said, like on the following Friday or whenever your last practice is going to be. Any questions? All right. All right, so the rules. I mean, I only put 3 rules on here because I could have put 15 more slides, and I already know you guys are getting bored with me talking, so I figured I'd just keep it short and sweet with a couple items that usually I see when it comes to, and I think this was originally on the original slides, but I kept them on there because I thought they were good points to talk about. You bet. You bet. But like I said, well, yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I mean, basically, that is true. That is true. I mean, you're going to be hard pressed to get. Yeah, you'll be hard pressed to get a quarterback to be able to throw. I mean, and that's not a negative thing. That's just the age groups. You know, you might have one. You might have a superstar quarterback, but usually at those younger ages, you'll do sweeps, sweep left, sweep right. No blocking. Yeah, no blocking. They can't block. So everyone's a receiver. Everyone can go out for a pass. If it's a run, it's just kind of a block. Now I'm not not hands up, but just walk out and kind of in the way. Yeah. Well, not like this and be like, psh. No. Well, I mean, you're going to stand. I mean, if you're going to run, the kids are more likely just going to stand where they're at. So you're going to have 3 kids on the line, at least. Well, even on a minimum is 3 kids on the line. So if you have a center and 2 tackles, or center and 2 tight ends, or wide receivers, or whatever, they could just stand. They don't have to move, and then the runner can run wherever. Can't run up the middle, but run outside of the. So yeah. So there's, yeah, that's true. Usually what they recommend is kids that are in grade 4 to 6 will do a regular snap through their legs. Any kids younger will do a side snap. It's just harder for them to do a regular snap. So just grab the ball and throw it to them. So yeah. Yes, and it will be. They'll drop it, and it'll be dead ball right when they drop it. So it'll be a dead ball. Second out. So you'll do a lot. You'll do a lot of that. I can guarantee it. So that is one of the important things to work on, just the snap, and try to get one. And I like to just get one person that's really good at it instead of multiple people, because then it's just harder, because you're gonna have a lot of that. No, so the older group would just do it through the legs like normal. Yeah, right. No, I misunderstood. Yeah, those are right. Okay, so illegal pass. So basically, any football that's thrown after the line of scrimmage. That's why I try to teach fundamentals, where to line up. Line of scrimmage is important. Usually, that's one of the things that I try to teach kids right away. the imaginary line not to cross, and how to line up and be lined together. So that's for the younger kids. It's going to be difficult. But like I said, when you're referees, you can help do that and get them lined up correctly. So I mean, you can throw behind the line. Like if you had a running back kind of run out into what they call the flats and just throw it behind the line, that'll work. They could do that, and then they can throw it again, like a what they call a halfback pass. We don't do that usually because it never works. But so if they throw it over, so for instance, if the quarterback or not the quarterback, but the running back decides he's going to run, and then there's like four people in front of him, and he decides, oh, I'm going to pass, because they get nervous and they're like, that's illegal. That's a legal pass. So that's 5 yards from the line of scrimmage, lost it down. So, and I think you have in your books, you have all that. There's a whole bunch of stuff. But like I said, that's one of the ones that happens quite often. The blocking one happens, which they call it offensive charging, but that's basically, actually, offensive charging is when a running back makes no move to avoid the person, which happens. I've seen it. They think it's football with pads, and they want to just put their shoulder down and. So you're gonna have that happen. Hopefully not, but I have not seen it not happen anytime I've coached. So. Yeah. So flag football about avoidance, not putting shoulder down and hitting people. I can give you an example, and that kind of goes for defense too. I mean, you're not going to be bowling people over, which I've seen that also with a wide receiver catching the ball and getting hit in the head with a shoulder in flag football. So we don't want that either. So. Well, no, if they're legitimately trying to avoid, and they actually, because you can have that too. We had it last year when we played Liberty. Actually, one of our players had glasses on. It cut her face a little bit, but I mean, they just collide. You're going to have that. People are going to collide accidentally, and it's just a judgment call. It's really a judgment call. I mean, if they're avoiding, you'll know. I mean, you'll know if they're just bullying over people and trying to hurt them. I don't see that happening, but that's one of the things that we want to be. No, it's a judgment call. I mean, if they're trying to avoid and they accidentally make contact, then I would let it go. But if they're purposely doing it, and you'll know. I mean, you'll know the difference.
On the defensive side, like if I've got a kid running at me, defender, and the kid's running at me with the ball, can I like put a hand out to like slow him down while I'm trying to touch the flag?
No, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to use any hand or body contact. You're just supposed to go for the flag. Because what happens is that kind of initiates contact. That'll initiate contact. I mean, I used to do it when I played adult flag football league, because the older I get, the slower I am. So I'm kind of like, well, I'm going to use my body to box them in like I was playing basketball. Yeah, we don't want to do that because you get hurt like that. Because I've done it before. I box them in and pull their flags. Just try to pull their flags. Yeah, don't put their hand up. That's a bad. That would be bad precedent to. Yeah. It is. That's how it always is. That's defense. I coached defense for numerous years, and that's all I coached, and I love defense. I played defense when I was playing, but I could tell you it's offense. Offense gets all the glory. Except when the defense intercepts or runs it back. That's when we get the glory. Makes a good play. But other than that, yeah. But no, I'm trying not to initiate contact. Just pull the flags. I mean, what I usually teach is the kids to break down. Kind of when they run up on somebody, to learn to break down and pull it. Because what's going to happen is when you break down, they're going to have to avoid you, right? So then that gives you that second to actually pull the flag. So yeah, I usually teach them break down on your opponent, get right there, pull the flag. They'll go left or right, but you're ready with either hand because they're not going to go through you, and if it is, it's a penalty. So, and we talked about shielding. Basically, you can't shield. So actually during scrimmage, I noticed some kids, they were like, get the ball, and they were running with him, and they were trying to make blocks and stuff, but can't do that. So we'll make sure we teach them not to block. If it is a run play, whoever's on the line can just stand there, stand up, and they can run in between them or whatever, but they're not allowed to put their hands out or block. So. Now the truth comes out. I was watching them going, why are they blocking? Can't block. Well, you can fake run the ball, but you got to stop. You can't be like, can't block. Just fake it and stop, and then have them run. So yeah, we don't want them to shield or run out there and try to block somebody. So that's a penalty too. So, and like I said, there's a whole bunch of other ones, but those are probably 3 good ones that happen the most. Let's see. Any questions on that? Just the 3 I put up there. Like I said, I could have put like 10 more slides up there, but would be here? Correct. No. So the field usually is 70 yards. They have 5-yard. The end zone's 10 yards. There's that 5. We did a 10-yard. It's actually a 5-yard where you can't run. So there's a 5 yards that are next to the end zone where you have to pass. Right. And then in between, at like the 45-yard line, there's a line, and there's a. So the basic. Okay, so you get the ball to your own 5. You got 4 plays to go past the 45 or the 50, the midfield. 4 plays. If you don't do that, then I think the younger group, they don't punt. They don't punt. You just get the ball on their opposite 5-yard.
You can choose on your 4th down to punt, and then the other team gets it
On their 5, correct. That's the older groups. The younger groups you don't punt. You just do all 4 downs, and then if they fail, the ball goes back to their 5-yard line. So yeah, there's 2 5-yard zones in the middle, and then the 2 on either end of the end zone. So you have to pass, which is like I said, it's gonna be difficult to pass. Yeah, it's gonna be difficult to pass for the younger age groups. So my suggestion: make sure you don't go in the 5-yard zone. And run. Tell them, stop. 6 yards out. No, but so yeah, it just kind of forces you guys to pass or learn to pass within the critical areas of the field. All right, talked about game day substitutions. Every player will play at least half the game and shouldn't sit out more than 1 period at a time. So that, like we mentioned, it'll happen in the matrix once you rank your folks. Shepherd. Starting lineup. Yeah, I mean, it says here, coach should not deviate from rotation during season. It's up to you how you want to run your rotations. Like I said, once you put it in the matrix, it should be no-brainer. It should be pretty easy. So, unless you're me, and then you're lost with all technology. And then substitutions. It'll show you the substitutions, who goes in the second quarter. We talked about that. All right, game day stars. Just our stickers. So basically, you're going to have since we have 3 coaches per team, you're going to have your assistant coach maybe assign one of them to see who's doing well, or identify some of the players and who they're doing well. So whether they're doing good on effort, I know some of you in the back won't be able to see this, but the blue one's effort, silver's offense. Shoot, I can't even see that one. All right. Red's defense, yellow is sportsmanship, and the platinum, I'm going to call it platinum, is Christ-likeness. So the star distribution will help you track your star players. And it gives them an incentive. We used to do it with our helmets. If you scored a touchdown or you did really good on defense, and you would always get the sticker on the back of your helmet. And honestly, kids love that. Kids love that. That's kind of a way to show, hey, look at kind of. No, I'm just saying, they'll get stickers. But when I was teaching we would do stickers too, and on their helmets we would put the stickers, and the kids loved it. on their flags. Yeah, yeah. But the kids love that. The kids love that stuff. They, you would not believe how excited they get over some stickers. So, so yeah. I mean, see, I mean, my suggestion, just as coaches, I mean, if you're gonna have a footballs anyways, and you're gonna carry footballs, just carry the flags. Oh, they're staying here. Okay. Ooh, okay. Right. End zones. End zones. Hey, you got it right. Woohoo!
Will the ref have their own bag then, basically, where all the sharing refs and stopwatches and other stuff? Or
Yeah, you'll definitely need those. Just get them used to actually during practice. Get them used to stopping when the whistle's blown. So definitely need one of those.
what was the second thing would be like a small corridor something like a cone or a D-back for the stop lights, where would you want those to be?
Yeah, yeah. It's just a little. It's a little marker. We can get them. It's just a little marker, or you can use a cone. Basically, you just put a cone where the ball. Yeah, yeah. We can use just a cone or a marker, but the cone's pretty easy. All you just put the cone where the ball was at, and then if it's an incomplete pass, you just put the ball where the cone is at. So come back. That's for the game. Yeah, we don't have sideline markers and all that stuff, so we're gonna have to improvise. Just where the ball's at. It should be easy to put a cone down where the ball's at, and then if they, yes. So yeah, the flags. I would, I would collect the flags at the end of practice and hand them out at the beginning of practice, just because I know from experience that's you're gonna have flags missing. Kids are gonna forget them at home. They're gonna forget them at mom's. In the washing machine. They're with their cleats, which is at a friend's, which they went after the game. I could tell you a whole gambit of stuff that happens. So yeah, I would collect them, But it's up to you. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying that's my recommendation. Just collect them before, after practice. Keep them. I mean, if you have a little mesh sack or something, just throw them in there and then bring them for practice. Coaches, yeah. Just collect the flags. That way everyone has it. That's what I did last year. Cleats, they can wear cleats, but it's got to be the molded plastic, no metal, no baseball cleats, none of that stuff. So soccer shoes is fine. Yeah, soccer shoes is fine. Not a requirement, but does help in grass. And what happens is we'll always have some kids that don't have any. So actually, what we used to do in Pasco is a shoe exchange. So those kids that were growing out of their shoes, we used to collect all their cleats and actually say, "Hey, do you need cleats?" And then we would say, "What's your size?" And we're going to get them a used pair of cleats. But at least they have cleats. Some kids don't, like I said, aren't can't afford, their parents can't afford cleats for some reason. But okay, yeah, me too. I can help with that too. We've got a whole bunch. I know where a whole bunch is. Uh, yeah. So yeah, because they're 11 kids per team, and the thinking is you're gonna have kids out. I mean, it's just how they're gonna be on vacation, they're gonna have school, something's gonna go on. They got functions. So instead of running, especially the younger group, we did 5-on-5 because there's not enough. I think there's like 8 or 9, and so if you have 1 or 2 or 3 missing, at least you'll still be able to actually play a game with kids missing. So good, a good question. I haven't used it, so yeah. It fills in. Yeah, does it fill in? Yeah. Yeah, I mean we can. I mean that'll be. Yeah, I mean it'd be determination. It'd be. Yeah. 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 I mean that's what we did. That's what we did last year when we played Liberty. I mean, sometimes they didn't have enough kids to play, or we didn't have enough kids to play, but we just agreed to play for fun. I don't know how we want to handle it here. Gotcha. Yeah, and you need to make sure you pick the most athletic kid from their team to put on your team. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah. It's true. This is true. You're right. Sounds good. So that's what game day stars. Like I said, the kids love that stuff. Kind of their flash to show other kids in the league. They get a benefit out of it, and they tend to play a little harder because they know they're going to get a sticker. I know game days after the first practice after game days, they're all like, we used to sit in the huddle and then we would give out our stars to the people that did well on Saturday. So, yep. Where did it go? There it is. All right. Amber covered some of these important league dates. I won't go through them again. I did want to talk to you guys about some of the like clock format, stuff like that, so you're aware of it. It's in your book, but I do want to just cover it just real quick. These dates are on the slides. Emailed. Yeah, she did email. Yeah, so she sent them out early. So real quick, clock format. Like Amber said, we talked about 9-minute quarters. That's running clock. The only time it's going to stop is at the quarter, and then the last minute of the second quarter and the fourth quarter. So, and of course, if you call timeout, which I think we have one per half or one per game. Is it one per half? Yeah, one per half. And there's 30-second timeouts, and if you have unused timeouts, they don't carry over. So if you don't use the one in the first half, you don't get two in the second. Okay. So final minute. Scoreboard. Yeah. I may have two scoreboards. So yeah. Scoreboards. Yeah, I mean, you'll have three refs. You'll have three. If all three coaches show up or there during the day, you'll have at least one of them to run the scoreboard. I would say. All right, so in your book it says referees can lead both teams in prayer at midfield before every game. If that's what you guys want to do, or you could do it in a huddle before. That's when you do the initial game start. You want to make sure everyone's tucking in their jerseys and their flags are, on their hips versus in their front or in the back like a tail. You're gonna have to tell kids, every day, hey, fix your flags. Hey, fix your flags. But once you get them to realize the flags are supposed to be on the hips, they'll fix it themselves. But it's just kind of get them into a routine and teaching them those basic stuff, the basic fundamentals. Team switch fields. So so you'll be going the same way for the first half, and then swap for the second half. So when the first quarter's over, don't swap. You're still going the same direction. At halftime, you swap on the opposite side of the field. So scores. I'm not sure if we're keeping scores for second grade and under. I don't think so, but yeah. All right. So scoring is 6 points. If you want to do 1 point, it's 5 yards from the end zone. If you want to go for a 2-pointer, it's 10 yards, which means you can run. So just keep that in mind, especially for the younger kids that don't have a quarterback or stuff like that. So it's kind of a good thing. So yeah, that's pretty much everything else you can read. The dead ball stuff. So when it's a dead ball, basically, play stops is obviously when the flag's pulled. If a player steps out of bounds, the play's over. If the ball carrier's knee hits the ground, if he falls and puts his knee on the ground, play's done. So obviously, dead ball, the play stops after a score or safety. The pass falls incomplete, doesn't catch it, plays over.
Are we gonna have like a camera to watch and make sure we got caught ball and
No,
I was, you know, I was wondering.
no, unless you have someone like film for you. I mean, actually, that happens. In the day we are, with cell phones and cameras, it happens. It happens. People film stuff, and then they'll be like, "Hey, ref, I need to talk to you. Look." Trust me, it's happened. It's happened to me. I was like, "What are you doing?" So, well, there's a sign that I've always wanted to get at some of the fields we play on, and it's none of these kids are going to the NFL, so or something like that. How about we act like it, because everyone thinks their kid's going to be the superstar, and which is great. I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying though, it's youth football. We shouldn't get all, overly excited about it. So when the ball's fumbled, so on the snap, if he snaps it, quarterback drops it, it's dead. Next play. So wherever it lands, that's where the ball's going to be spotted. Should be spotted. I believe that's under the third K through 3. Yes. K through 3, they can pick it off the ground. Older kids, it's dead. Definitely, yeah, definitely with the younger kids, I would, yeah. Yeah, yeah, that sounds like a good, that sounds good to me. I usually wouldn't do 4 through 6, but to get them started, I think, like I said, you're going to have a lot of kids that never played football before, so I would definitely for the older, yeah, yeah. Younger ones, you're going to need to be in there all year because you're going to be, kind of putting them where they need to go, and so yeah, definitely. You'd be calling the play or telling them what to do or showing the play, which is another thing I want to talk about is I use, and this doesn't work for everybody, but what I use is I just I make my plays and I either put them in some kind of binder, it doesn't have to be 10 plays, all fancy. It could be 4 plays. It could be 3 plays. I mean, it could be 2 runs, 2 passes. I mean, it's up to you really, but I wouldn't get overly complex with making the plays because if they don't know where to line up or where they need to be, they're not going to understand any of that stuff. For the older kids, I actually last year I used a color coordinated. So I had 4 plays and I just put it in a wristband and 2 were pass, 2 were run. And I said, listen, these are the base plays. You can modify them. And if you have a good quarterback, he can tell, hey, I need you to go here. And he can adjust, and that's what they did last year. Is they just took my base plays and then they adjusted. And what I did is I color coded them. It works great. I have no idea why I hadn't thought of this earlier, but last year I was like, man, I'm just going to color code it, and I'd be like, hey, you're green. You see that dot? You're always green. And wherever that green dot goes, you're going. Wherever that tells you to go, you go. And it works great. It works great, especially for the younger kids. It's going to be no, just quarterback usually, just quarterback. And usually what happens is everyone gets in the huddle, and they'll go, play one, and everyone will go, they'll look at it. Oh, and they'll get to the line, and they'll go, oh, shoot, I need to go. Where am I supposed to be? Okay. Because that happens all the time. But, yeah, for older kids, I've definitely used just, make some good 4 plays and trying to make that the base plays and then adjust. Because they can, based on who they're playing, they can adjust what's working, what's not working. Not all plays are going to work all the time. But I do have, actually, I think I have a set that I downloaded from, I don't know, it was some kind of football website that does these cool plays. And so, I could send that out and you can just look at that and see what you want to, you can adjust it. But yeah, so yeah, just keep it simple. 12-year-olds, I had to tell one of the guys that I was coaching with, who was coaching offensive line, that he was pulling guards and doing all this fancy stuff, and it was horrible. The first 2 games were horrible. They didn't know what they were supposed to do. And they were 12-year-olds, and you think, oh, they're pulling guard, and you go block here. By the third week, we're like, just pick a guy and block him, just drive him off the ball. So, yeah. So just remember, I can't harp on enough fundamentals, and keep it simple, and they'll definitely benefit from that. Talk about penalties. So I won't go into all that because there's tons. There's diving. You can't dive. Can't leave your feet. Can't jump. Huh? No, you're not supposed to leave your feet. You're not supposed to leave your feet. You're not supposed to. The ball carriers can't dive. You can't dive forward for like first down. I mean, you could. Yeah, I mean, you jump and catch a pass, it's a different story. Yeah. But if you're trying to advance the ball, you can't dive. So if you're, 5 yards away from the first down, you can't like. No, I mean, normally I wouldn't tell them. I mean, it's risk management. We need to do a risk management class. Well, I mean, I really would rather not have them dive. I mean, they're going to dive. I mean, it is what it is. The only bad thing about that is if you have kids diving and at a runner. I mean, it's needed ahead. Yeah, yeah. And so that's why I was talking about breakdowning on a ball carrier. If you break down on a ball carrier, that's why I teach. That's why I teach that is it avoids me from diving, because I'm running, and I also teach angles because once again, when I played flag, I was 15 years older. As an adult, I was 15 years older than most of the people on my team, and these guys were 26 years old and they're fast, and I'm like, I can't keep up with them. So I play angles, and that's what I teach the kid is go where you think they're going to go. So, if I'm watching the ball carrier and I'm a defensive player and I know he's going this way, I'm going to meet him and I'm going to break down on him. That prevents me from diving and trying to. I mean, you're going to have it. I'm not saying, but we're not going to encourage it. Yeah. I mean, like I said, if you teach. Yeah. I mean, if you're teaching a breakdown to get to a spot and break down on the guy, like I said, the running back's going to go left or right. They're not going to go over you. But you just need to that prevents them from diving. I mean, I've seen a lot of kids get hurt when they're diving. So whether it's with a leg or arm or anything like that, trying to get out there to. Yeah, as long as you're behind a line of scrimmage, you can do a halfback pass. Just as long as you don't cross over. No, I mean, as long as it's behind the line of scrimmage, I think we're okay. Yeah, we're okay. It doesn't have to go. It's just behind the line. If it goes forward, we're not going to be super nitpicky on whether it's a forward pass or back. Just as long as it's behind the line of scrimmage, we should be okay. Let's see. Pass interference. Offensive charge. Any other questions? Let's see what else I got on here. Big dates. So, next steps. I'm done almost. So the email that Amber sent you, click on that. You can do your coach's account. So like Amber said, call your parents on team probably next week, and then review the coach's playbook. It has a bunch of information in there. I've been reading it the last couple of weeks and trying to glean as much information I got out of there. But like I said, I'm here. Amber's here to help. So if you have any questions, I mean, I put my contact information up there and Amber's contact information up there. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call me. I'm here to help. So like I said, just give me a buzz, ask me a bunch of questions. And if I don't know, we'll look it up and figure it out. the team page has access to, for all the coaches.
You guys will work as a team together. Coach can, I mean, any of the coaches can change things in there, but you just don't want like the three of you changing them differently. So get together, do your ranking, but that way, you know, if your head coach is gone, you have access to it to run it the game or anything like that.
When I used the app last year, when I did my ranking and my all that, it didn't cross over the deal. So it would be smart to have every coach put it in themselves. That way every coach is ready to make their sandwich. That might have been the reason they got rid of the app.
That might be. Because they went to a brand new system, so I don't know, I'm sorry, I don't know exactly what it will be, but you have access to it. So that was a great point that each coach might have to change it after you agree upon it.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I appreciate you guys. We're definitely blessed to have all you guys out here and helping out. It's awesome. So yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. I mean, and I can't stress that. I can't emphasize that enough. How cool it is to have you guys out because not a lot of people volunteer these days. So it's a hard thing to do. But appreciate it.